He was born Neville Livingston in Kingston, Jamaica, to Thaddeus Livingston, a rum shop proprietor known as Toddy, and his wife, Margaret. He grew up in the same small rural village, 9 Mile. Marley's mother, Chadella, was a housekeeper for Toddy. And in 1963 she bore him a child, Pearl, who was therefore a sister to both Livingston and Marley. When Livingston's family moved to the Trenchtown area of Kingston, Marley went with them, and for a time he was part of the household. Soon he and Livingston ran into Tosh, who had also moved to the city from the countryside, and Tosh had a child, Andrew, by Livingston's sister Shirley. As impoverished teenagers, Tosh, Marley and Livingston would sneak into Kingston's open-air dances to drink in the music of American artists of the late 50s and early 60s. They began to sing together as a harmony group, and by 1964 they had released the ska single Simmer Down under the name of the Wailing Wailers. It went straight to #1 in the Jamaican charts, made a small stir in the UK, and allowed them to begin making stage appearances. The Wailers went on to produce a string of local hits, including Put It On and Rude Boy. But success in the Jamaican charts was no route to financial comfort, and they continued to live a hand-to-mouth existence. Some solace came in Livingston's embrace of the Rastafarian faith. But in the spring of 1967, age 20, his fortunes worsened dramatically when he was arrested for cannabis possession, sentenced to 18 months hard labor in Kingston's brutal general penitentiary. After several months, he was transferred to the prison farm, earning privileges through his value to the jail's cricket team and increasing his intake of marijuana, which was supplied by the wardens. While Livingston was inside, the other Wailers had begun to work with the eccentric producer Lee Scratch Perry, who helped to reinvent their sound and hook them up with the brothers Carlton and Aston Barrett on drums and bass. After Livingston rejoined them, they recorded 2 albums, Soul Rebels 1970 and Soul Revolution 1971, their first to be released abroad. But the ever-watchful Livingston had been suspicious of Perry, and the group eventually fell out with the producer over financial matters when both albums were released in the UK. By the end of 1971, after almost a decade of being fleeced by unscrupulous businessmen and producers, they were still poor. With Perry jettisoned, some financial stability arrived when the Wailers signed to Chris Blackwell's Island Records, after which they recorded the album Catch a Fire in early 1973, featuring songs such as Stir It Up, Concrete Jungle, and Kinky Reggae. A tour followed in the US and UK, where they made a memorable appearance on the Old Grey Whistle Test television show that set them on the path towards international recognition. Another album, Burnin', came later in 1973, with righteous classics such as Get Up, Stand Up, and Small Axe. Livingston, who had been unnerved by life on the road and unimpressed by Blackwell's thrusting of Marley into the spotlight, decided to leave the group, followed by Tosh, out on his own and adopting the stage name of Bunny Wailer to signpost his connections. Livingston was able to move away from Marley's shadow and bring his talents to the fore. He also featured tunes he had written many years before, but which had largely been ignored, including Fighting Against Conviction, which he composed in jail, reimagined in a mystical Rasta vein, with Marley and Tosh on backing vocals. His old songs were given a new life that became the essence of roots reggae. Livingston followed up with 3 albums over the next 3 years, including Protest in 1977 and Struggle in 1978. He proved himself to be a formidable songwriter, not least through uplifting singles that celebrated the joys of the dancehall, including Rockin' Groove and Cool Runnings, both in 1981. He remained a prolific releaser of material until 1989, when he came up with his last really notable album, Liberation. Livingston's fear of flying restricted his touring, although he did play on occasion in Europe and the US. In later life, he mostly contented himself with enjoying the large plot of hilly land 60 miles west of Kingston, that he had bought with a cash settlement from Island Records. There he communed with nature, grew corn, and smoked herb. In the farm, he communed with nature, grew corn, and smoked herb. He was awarded the Order of Jamaica in 2012. And a Bunny Wailer Museum was opened in Kingston in 2017. In 2020, his wife, Jean Watt, suffering from dementia, disappeared from the family home. Her whereabouts remain unknown. He is believed to be survived by 13 children. Bunny Wailer Neville O'Reilly Livingston, musician. Born the 10th of April, 1947, died the 2nd of March 2021. For more videos, subscribe and hit notification bell.